The Russian spy who lived next door to the FBI. What if the person living next door wasn't just a friendly neighbor, but a spy working for a foreign adversary? This is not a movie plot, it's a true story. Hello my friends. Welcome to Secret Agents Exposed. Today, we dive into a story so wild, so shocking, so interesting you won't believe it's true. Let's start. A Russian agent embedded deep within the United States, hiding in plain sight, blending into suburban life while gathering intelligence on the FBI itself. Today, we uncover the astonishing story of the Russian spy who lived next door to the FBI deep cover and the illegals program. In the early 2000s, the FBI and CIA were aware that Russian intelligence, the SVR, successor to the KGB, had resumed Cold War-era tactics. These tactics involved placing deep cover agents, known as illegals, in the United States. They had nitrogen monoxide official ties to Russia, nitrogen monoxide diplomatic immunity, and posed as everyday Americans. These spies had false identities, forged documents, and often even fake backgrounds. From birth they raised families, paid taxes, joined PTA meetings, all while reporting to Moscow. One of the most remarkable stories from this operation unfolded in Montclair, New Jersey, a quiet suburb just 20 minutes from New York City, and directly next to an FBI counterintelligence office. Meet Richard and Cynthia Murphy. Neighbors knew them as Richard and Cynthia Murphy, a married couple with 2 young daughters. Richard was a financial consultant. Cynthia worked in real estate. They seemed like any ordinary American family, but in reality, they were Russian spies. Their real names were Vladimir and Lydia Gariev. They were part of the illegals program, a massive Russian spy network deployed across the U.S. The Murphys were assigned to get close to policymakers, business people, and potentially even U.S. intelligence personnel. Their proximity to the FBI just a few blocks from the FBI's New York office was nitrogen monoxide accident. It was a strategic decision. Living the lie. For over a decade, the Murphys lived their American life convincingly. They attended barbecues, PTA meetings, and were even considered model citizens. Their daughters were born in the U.S., giving them deeper cover. But behind closed doors, the couple communicated using invisible ink, coded messages, radio transmissions, and steganography, hiding messages within images. They received encrypted briefings from Moscow Center, the SVR's headquarters. Their mission? To gather intel on U.S. nuclear policy, political affairs, and possibly to develop connections with key figures in government. They also monitored FBI agents and counterintelligence activity. Operation Ghost Stories. The FBI had been tracking the illegals for years. A secret counterintelligence operation called Operation Ghost Stories was launched in the mid-2000s. Agents surveilled the Murphys. For months they planted listening devices, followed their meetings, and eventually cracked their encryption. One night, the FBI watched as Cynthia Murphy met with a potential political donor linked to high-level officials. That was the tipping point. In June 2010, the FBI made its move. 10 deep-cover Russian agents, including the Murphys, were arrested in simultaneous raids across the country. The spy swap and aftermath. The arrests shocked the nation. People couldn't believe that friendly, normal neighbors were actually Russian spies. But the story didn't end in prison. Just days after their arrest, the Murphys and the other agents were part of the largest U.S.-Russia spy swap since the Cold War. They were exchanged for Russians imprisoned for spying for the West, including Sergei Skripal, who would later become the target of a notorious poisoning in the UK. The Murphys returned to Moscow, hailed as heroes by the Russian government. Their daughters were sent to Russia too, leaving behind the only home they had ever known. Legacy and lessons. The story of the Murphys is more than just an espionage thriller. It revealed how modern-day espionage has evolved. Deep-cover agents don't need guns or gadgets. They use laptops, social networks, and suburban charm. The illegals program reminded intelligence communities worldwide that Cold War tactics never really ended. They just became more sophisticated. Even today, intelligence agencies remain vigilant for new neighbors who might not be what they seem, because when it comes to espionage, the greatest threat might be living right next door. Subscribe to Secret Agents Exposed for more true stories of spies, secrets, and the hidden world of intelligence. See you in the next video with unique story.